Smalls of all things iconic, and welcome to another episode of the Creative, where we dish all the shit about how you, me, and we bring our imaginations to life. Today we have a special guest who is one of my designers from my up and coming series on TikTok, where I follow 3 up and coming designers who I think are going to be the next it thing. And we have knitwear designer ODI. Welcome ODI to the show.
Hello.
Thanks for being here. Cheers.
Cheers.
And we are drinking VRA. Sponsor the girls, thank you.
It's too good.
It's too good. Like, if I'm buying Prosecco and this is on the shelf, Issa,
yeah,
I'm buying
snatch.
it.
Yeah.
All right. So, Odie, like I said, is a knitwear designer. She is from Baltimore, right?
Yes,
from Baltimore, but also resides in Brooklyn. So she's kind of like back and forth. And she has a new collection coming out. But before we get into your new collection, let's get into everyone's favorite segment of the show, which is Dream Gig. And Dream Gig is a segment of the show where you can like dream up anything that you want to do in the creative industry, and you kind of manifest it. So this is like our manifestation section of the show. So if you could do anything in the creative industry, what would it be?
Honestly, what I'm doing now, but on like a larger scale, because I love designing, I love making clothes, but I love the idea of being multifaceted. Everyone knows me to be like the Jill of all trades, so I really do love the idea of like, yeah, I'm a designer, but I also DJ, but I also podcast. I also do a whole bunch of different things. But you also know that at the end of the day, when it comes down to me, and when you think of me as Odie, you know her as the multifunctional girl. So a designer, but on 10,000.
Okay, I'm here for that, because I mean, a lot of designers like why is his name leaving me? Off-White,
Virgil, yes,
like, Virgil was very much all of the things, like
things,
DJ,
yeah,
art collector, designer, like all of the things. And I think it's good. You have to be multifaceted in this industry. Anyway.
Yeah, you do, especially to keep that creative spark. So yeah.
Okay, my dream gig this week. I really want to design an underwear line.
Ooh, that would be
more so because I have like a particular vision of what I want underwear to look like, but I could never find it. So I would love to create an underwear line that is chic but also comfortable, because usually it's one or the other. Like, I can find a chic ass pair of underwear, but then it's like,
but it's not functional. It's not functional.
So I would love to do that, and I would love for it to be like minimalist, like shades of brown, because you're making it for us, for the brown.
Yeah, because
girlies.
You know what's so funny that you bring that up? I feel like when we think of like a Fenty Beauty, Savage Fenty, and other like underwear like brands that make that nude type of like underwear, you don't see it. Well, I think yes, Kim did it for Skims, but I just feel like it's so linear. No one's like exploring or trying to do something different that makes it stand out in the market. So I love that, actually.
I agree. And Kim did do it. I'm not a huge fan of the girls.
Girl, me too. No shade.
But sometimes you can't avoid it.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
Like, I recently became a fan of like the WNBA all of a sudden. So when she did that WNBA thing,
she
I was like, oh, that's cute. It's cute. Right, she knows how to market. I'm gonna get a girl.
She does.
She knows how to market.
And I don't know if you know, but her product developer is a Black woman. So like, her products are phenomenal. I'm never gonna knock that about Skims. Emma Greed.
Yeah. Okay.
Her products are the products are phenomenal. So I'm never gonna knock Skims for that. Like, they're gonna get their 8s.
So yeah, because we can never give you a 10.
You can never get a 10 out of me.
Question. Now that you talk about Emma Green, so I see a lot of the girls on TikTok or just social media period, they be like, well, I'm buying Skims because it's Black owned. So how do you feel about them using Emma Green in order to partake in the product?
So I feel like I kind of did that by accident, because I was the one that posted that on TikTok that was like, oh. So and it kind of went viral too. So everyone was like, what do you mean? So I gave a whole explanation of who Emma Green is, the product. And I get it. I really do get it, because honestly, I haven't bought from Skims personally. I do have like a couple pairs of Skims because it was gifted to me. But I don't knock the girls for buying it specifically for her, because it's like, if you think about it, it's like at the end of the day, a percentage of that did go to a Black woman. So I don't feel too bad. I don't feel too bad. But the thing about it is, I really do wish that Emma Greed did lean in, like, being the face, not the face, but being the front person of that brand. Like, it didn't have to be Kim, like, you know? But I do also, from a business standpoint, understand why she chose Kim. Like, that's genius, you know? Why not get somebody who, like, a lot of people kind of idolize, you know, to buy a product? And Kim can sell a product. She's going to get my 8s. She's going to get them 8s. So, yeah, I don't blame the girls for using Emigrate as a means to purchase Skims.
Okay.
But as long as you're doing it with the intention of, like, okay, let's go to a Black woman. And also, also being able to acknowledge Kim and her background and her past. So, yeah.
True. I mean, she does have Black kids, so I guess the money's going to some Black children as well. But
but also it's like not too much.
I'm sorry, yes, not too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be right back to talk about ODI's new collection and all of the things after this short break. And we're back, so let's get into all things ODI, which is ODI's brand, and this new collection is coming out, and just get into the background of all things ODI. So I want to start out with, when did you start knitting? Like, where did you pick up this passion from?
Okay, so it started way before I even started expressing online. So me and my mom, we used to knit. My mom's a big crafter, so I feel like a lot of my creativity comes directly from my mother. She's a big crafter. She also went to school for fashion too before we came to America. So so for context, I am Nigerian. I was born in Nigeria, was raised there for a couple of years, and came here.
So I hope this is not ignorant to ask, but like, they have big fashion schools in Nigeria?
I can't really. I have to ask her a bit more, but like, it's a very common thing that people do actually go to school to learn how to sew in Nigeria.
Because it would make sense, because a lot of bomb ass fashion comes from Nigeria, and the quality of the stitching and the tailoring. Yeah, it's phenomenal.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
So that would make sense. I just never thought, because a lot of things, especially in Africa, like, I feel like even as Black people, I think some things just come naturally to us, especially like sewing. So I didn't even think like.
But that's the thing, though, because that's why I'm like, I don't really know. I would have to ask more, but like, it's just so common because that's a trade. That was a means of like making money and getting work done. So like, it's very, very common that you find a lot of really, really good tailors in Nigeria, and artisans too. So like, I've seen a lot of people who I share space with who are Nigerian designers who are manufacturing in Nigeria, you know, because there's a lot of people out there to do the work. So you definitely put it in my mind now to ask my mom, but she went to school for fashion. One of the women that I actually mentored after like I graduated college, she was a Nigerian designer as well, and she also studied in Nigeria as well. So it's definitely like, there's definitely some history there that needs to be looked at. So yeah.
So where did you go to school?
So I went to a private university in Maryland by the name of Stevenson University. So I studied fashion merchandising, which is business and fashion. So a lot of my perspective on fashion does tend to be a bit more analytical. And I know eventually it will help with the business, but I've always been super creative from the aspect of my mom. But so luckily my program, it really did help me understand design, textiling, which is kind of helps with a lot of the knitting and the crocheting. The girls don't be knowing about textiles. They don't be knowing about their textiles. No shade.
Yeah,
and it shows. But I'm really grateful that I did have that background of going to school for fashion, because I every time I'm like making pieces, and especially now with me launching this brand, it's like, it really shows up that, okay, those 4 years were kind of worth it. So yeah, that's so basically back to my point of like me starting like knitting and crocheting.
Yes, let's go back.
Yeah. Because I just had to remember like where we left off. So my mom is a big crafter, like I said. She knows how to sew. She taught me a little bit of sewing. But the main thing we used to do a lot was knitting and crocheting hats when I was younger. So I was just in a bad mental space in the last 2 years. So I was just like, you know what? I'm going to alleviate a lot of my stress and put it into this craft that I used to share with my mother. So I just started picking up, and I was like, I feel like there's a way I can make this look cool. That's my thing. I'll pick up a hobby and I'm like, how can I make this cool? So I decided to just start, I started with hats, I started with accessories, and just kind of went from there to clothes. Okay. So that's kind of like my little background with like knitting, crocheting.
Okay. Yeah. And before like you started, like, because I graduated, but I graduated with education and psychology. So I was like, child, it's not something I want to do. So you graduated fashion merchandising. Like, did you have a plan to get into fashion in some way or somehow, or you were just kind of like figuring it out?
Both. So I had a plan in the sense that I was going to work like some sort of like corporate aspect in the fashion world, and then take my expertise and put it into a brand.
Gotcha.
So I feel like that whole thing of me always being so super analytical, or at least on the business aspect of fashion, was always there. But it didn't really work that way. I mean, I did have a little bit of like corporate experience, mostly on the retail side. But I just wasn't able to express that in design. So it was always me just having to push the envelope with like, okay, no, you need to go home and actually figure out how to be like creative, like with your pieces and stuff. So like I would always find myself coming home from work and figure out, okay, how can I express myself in a fashion way that isn't just dressing? Like, how can I make something tangible? So that's why I was constantly coming home and just figuring out new ways to like make clothes without having to think too hard about it. So
cute. Okay. Yeah. So you said your mom was like a crafter, so she taught you, or you just kind of watched her and picked it up?
So it's funny, it's both too. So I'm a visual learner. So I'm really like, my mom taught me because she, like, my mom would do it and I would just watch her, but she would also like, if I was messing up or something, she would tell me, okay, fix it this way. So it was both of like me watching her, and then if I messed up, she would tell me. So like that's kind of like, that was our dynamic of like that. And also another thing I ended up finding out, because I recently went to Nigeria this January. That background of like knitting and crocheting is from my grandmother. She was she was also in the fashion industry too. She was actually pretty.
I love this lineage.
Yeah. So it feels like, to me, I feel like I'm carrying the trope over of like the person actually like taking it on a bigger scale. I don't know where I'm gonna go, but we'll look back on this one day and be like,
yeah, girls are going somewhere.
Yeah, like, we're going places. You
so
know?
Now that you know that lineage behind it, like, does it make your work much more intentional?
Yeah, way more intentional. Like, this whole collection was inspired by me finally going back home for the longest time, because I hadn't been home for like 20 plus years. So it inspired a lot of that, and then me also putting the intention behind like really deep diving into my culture. But a lot of this collection is a little bit more on the simpler end of my discoveries. But yeah, it was fully inspired by my culture, and I feel like going forward, that's how I kind of want to carry out collections and other endeavors with Ido. Yeah.
So being that your mom taught you, like, do you still show her your pieces? Like, does she help you make them? Or
well, I showed them to her, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, you made that!" Like, I'll like make it, because what I do is like, before I start making a piece, I always make like a sample, like a little swatch. So she'll find my little swatches here and there, and she'll be like, "Oh my gosh, you made that! You did that!" I was like, "Yeah." And then she gets really interested. She's, "Oh, can you make me this?" And stuff like that. So she's like, I think when she sees me create, it really just makes her happy, in the sense that like, okay, I'm seeing someone push something that like has already been in the lineage already. So yeah,
keeping it alive. I'm here for that. What is the name of this particular collection? Like, you have a collection coming out. Well, when is the collection coming out?
Okay, so the collection's coming out May 25th. I don't know when this will be, but May 25th. So by the time this is out, it should be out already. So and then the collection's called Ntoala. Ntoala means foundation, and for me, so this is like a foundational collection. It's the start of the brand, and I wanted to give it something really powerful, because the one thing about my culture is like, you do everything really with intention. Like, your name has intention. Like, everything you do has to have intention. So I was like, I really want something bold and striking for this collection, and the brand name is Ido Studios.
Okay. So am I saying it wrong when I say ODI?
No, so ODI is my name.
But that's not the name of your brand. Oh, I always thought it was.
No, see, that's the thing. Everyone always thinks it's my username. So my username is attached to like my podcast, but my brand name is Ido. It's just OD backwards.
Oh, yeah. See, I'm learning, y'all.
Yeah.
Ido. Okay.
And the funny thing about Ido, I ended up finding out that it actually has a meaning in itself. So it actually means draw in Igbo. So I'm Igbo. And it was just so crazy, like, learning that, because actually, so this is the thing about Igbo. The Igbo language, it has the one like name word has so many meanings. So like, even Ido has like multiple meanings, but the one I felt the most connected to was draw, because I start off every collection with me sketching out what it is I want to do, because I want to make sure I put my idea on some sort of like canvas of some sort, which is usually my iPad. So yeah, it was just really cool finding out that the Ido means Muse Draw.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you just went to my next question.
I'm just over here knocking out questions.
Right. So my next question was like, being that you have a new collection dropping for Ido, what does it look like for you when you're like bringing a collection together? Like, you do your sketches first, do you create and then like kind of edit? Like, what does your creative process look like?
So my creative process always starts out, actually, even before the drawing, it actually really starts out with me just living life to a degree. Like, it's funny and cliche, but I just have to, I usually just try and figure out what is inspiring me right now. Like, I'm very intentional about like figuring out, like going out and figuring out what's currently inspiring me. And at the time, for me, what it was really just me going home to my home country. And yeah, so once I got there, I just started listening to a lot of like my native music, which is Igbo high life, and just being around like a lot of my dad's side of the family, my mom's side of the family. And then when I came home, I decided to just start sketching. I just straight away just started sketching. And I then after sketching, I was like, okay, because it's, in this collection specifically, it was so tied to me figuring out the branding. So I was like, okay, before I continue on with anything else, let me figure out what do I want the brand to look like? Like, what's the logo going to look like? What's the color palette going to look like? So the color palette came next. I knew I wanted it to be funny enough. So this is the foundational collection, and it's a very, how can I say this? It's a very selfish collection in the sense that like this is a full representation of me. So the color palette is colors that I usually wear or I'm usually attracted to when I'm shopping. So it's full of a mustard yellow, stonish like beige, bold black, chocolate brown, and I really love this color palette because it really is just like it stands out from other color palettes that you usually see from brands.
And so, it's classic too.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's another thing too. Go exactly. And and also the reason why I chose those colors for this collection is to symbolize that these are colors that you're consistently going to see throughout me working with this brand and me doing and showcasing up for this brand. So
those colors look great on like several skin tones too. So it's like a very versatile collection.
Yeah.
So what does, speaking of like the colors and you being selfish and making sure, because I feel like people's best work, my best work, I'll speak for myself, comes out when I design for me.
Yep.
And if other people like it, great, but I have to like it first.
Yep, because you're your first consumer.
Right. Everything else is just like the icing on the cake. But
right.
I'm the cake. So I love that it's selfish. But the icing, like, what do you want Ido's community to look like? Well, who is your ideal customer?
So that's something I feel like because I thought to do that before I started, but I was like, so this is my thing. I'm very big on designing for women first. That's always going to be clear as day. That I design for women first because I'm a woman. That's who I think of. However, I know the community I've garnered, and actually the multiple communities I've garnered. So I've seen a lot of people who are queer, who are even men, straight men as well, be really interested. Yeah, exactly. Yep,
I love it.
I've seen a lot of them be really interested in my work, and I was just like, you know what? I want to make pieces that can look good on anybody, really. But the thing is that I know that in my analytical fashion brain, it's like I know I can't design for everyone because that's what they tell you. But I want to continue to push that button and push that narrative that no, you can design for everybody. But just know that who's the first person you think of when you design. So like again, like I said, first person I think of is a woman because I think of myself. So I'm always going to design for women. However, I want to open the door up for everybody.
Because you have like, just from what I've seen of your personal style, like you have this very feminine style, but you also have this very tomboyish sneakerhead style. So it would make sense why men are like gravitating towards the work as well, because it's just naturally of your essence. So that makes sense. So now that your community is like grown and you're figuring that out, like does it kind of change the way you design?
Yeah, because the one thing I also said to myself with this brand, I really want to design multifunctional wear. I'm really big on wearing your clothes multiple times. If you ever listen to my podcast or even just on TikTok, my biggest thing is wear your clothes. Keep wearing them until literally they start falling apart. So I really want to make clothes that can live on, not just in the summertime. You can wear whatever you saw in Ntoala in the wintertime. You can wear it in the fall. You could add it as a layering piece, So I really want that. And I think that's the reason why I'm also in the mindset of not only making clothes for women, just because I really want to push the envelope and saying that like this is not only just made for one thing. You can use it for anything.
Yeah.
It's meant for everybody.
And I think that that's the misconception that people have about knitwear is that it's like a fall or winter thing. But y'all, it's 80 degrees in New York today, and I have it on. And yes, I'm sweating, but it's not because of the knitwear. It's because it's fucking 80 degrees outside.
Yeah.
And also, like, when I pull this out, my mindset goes to the beach. Like, I would love to wear this with, like, a cute little breeze, like, on the beach. Like, it gives me, like, you know those 90s videos where they would have, like, on the long sleeve tops with, like, the cute little bottoms. Like, I think knitwear is for that, too.
Yeah.
Which brings me to my next question. So, there are other people in the industry who are, like, I feel like knitwear is becoming more and more popular. Like, who are some names that come to mind for you when you talk about knitwear?
So, Christopher John Rogers, Hanifa. I don't know how to pronounce his name correctly, but you've talked about him before as an up and coming designer. It starts with A. Egbobly. Actually, he's actually first before Christopher John Rogers. He's the first person I ever saw, because before it was Egbobly, it had a different name. Oh, boy with knits, or
Black Boy Knit.
Black Boy Knit.
Yeah.
Yes, I love, because I know I've seen his work and I've seen how he used to hand make his stuff. Who else could I think of? Fumi the label. She's a knitwear designer. Who else? Nate. I think I've told you about Nate.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah, Nate is a new up and coming women's wear brand. The KNITWEAR label, she actually started doing knitwear too.
Okay.
But yeah, those are people that I think. Oh, actually, let me give some names that are actually people who do like the type of knits that I do, knits and crochet that I do. Spicy brand.
Gotta look these brands up.
Yeah. Dos of Diallo. Shoot, I wish I had more names on top of my head, but like girls like that who are actually like and like really using their hands to make these pieces. Those are people who I like look at, and I'm just like, okay, like I can see how I can put my pieces out there too. But I also like to look in the archive. My biggest thing is looking in archives.
Yeah, I mean that's where the magic is.
Yeah, because that's really where the inspiration is at. So I love looking at specifically how knitwear was made in the 60s and the 70s.
And what do you find there with knitwear in 60s and 70s?
It was very it was very bold in the sense of color. And I think that's what inspires a lot of the people that I listed off, because it was knitwear that people like loved, but then they didn't gravitate towards it because, like, you know, I think specifically with crochet and knitwear, it gets boxed into like that granny-esque appeal, and it's like, no, there's more to it. And that's the reason why I really wanted to specialize in knitwear, because I'm like, no, there's more to it than what you see. It's not just something super heavy. I make really light knits, actually.
Yeah,
really, really light knits. I love light knitwear because I love the breathability. I love the movement of a light knit. So when people see my work and I tell people, oh, I knit, I crochet, they usually assume it's like that granny-esque thing. But they didn't see my work, they're like, oh, that's fab.
Yeah.
Like,
okay,
oh,
you down.
Yes. Right.
I asked you that because even the designers that you name, like, nobody is doing knits the traditional way.
Yes.
Like, everybody is doing it to where
they're maximizing it.
Yeah, it's very versatile. Like, yes, I can layer this and wear this in the winter, but I don't have to layer it and I can wear it right now.
Right.
And also what I love about this particular piece that you made for me is that every time I wear it, it feels different, because like a string may be longer or the stretch may be different, but I like when clothes like take a life of their own. Like that does not bother me at all.
Yeah.
So do you think that your customer base is going to have like issues with that?
I don't think so. Mostly because like I started making like this type of knit. That's where I started from, was this, and then what was the Lover's Quarrel was the other one that was super. Actually, that one was super exaggerated and super stringy. So it's like, if you loved Lover's Quarrel, if you love this knit, you're gonna love everything else I make, because it's just that like I love that it looks like it's falling apart to a degree, or it's like it's under construction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, because like you said, it gives a life of its own. Like you can adjust it and make it a certain way because it's stretchy enough to be malleable in that way. So I feel like if you've seen that work before, then you will, but then you just never know when it comes to putting yourself out there and putting your work out there. Like not everyone's going to receive you the best, and that's something I've already prepared myself for. But this is another reason why I'm honing in on my community, because I know who I'm at the end of the day I'm falling back to is the people who've been here, who are on this journey with me. So
And that's also a thing too. Like if you're gonna get into knitwear, like you have to get into like the way the fabric makes a life of its own, or how it will live and grow with you. It's not gonna like stay the same.
Yeah, it's not, because it's specifically with me. I use a lot of natural fibers. So natural fibers don't, of course, last as long as like acrylics or plastics. And there's nothing wrong with acrylics and plastics. This is actually an acrylic of its own. It's just that I like the lightness and the feel of a natural fiber, but it will degrade at some point. But as long as you're taking care of your items and you're letting it do its thing, basically, like let it be a living, breathing thing of its own, you'll love it as it gets older. So yeah.
Speaking of acrylics and cottons and things like that, like what's your process for picking fabrics that you want to work with?
So with knitwear, specifically handmade knitwear, everything goes by weight. So each yarn has a different weight. So if I know I want to make a really, really light piece, I have to go with yarns that are the number 3 and lower. If I want to make something that's a little bit more heavier, a little bit more structured, a little bit more chunky, I have to go with numbers 4 and higher. So it really just depends on the type of piece I'm making. So with this collection, like I said, everything's light. So every piece in this item, maybe I'm giving out a little bit of my code, but it's okay. I'm not too worried.
They can put us together like you.
Right, exactly. So I'm not too worried. Every piece in this collection is made with a weight 3 or less.
I'm learning, because I didn't even know that knitwear had numbers.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like you know how you go to a store, you feel it, you look at it, and you take it home, but it's much more intentional.
Yeah, and if you think about it, like every piece that we own is woven or knitted of some sort. Like every textile, if you think about it, is woven and knitted before it's like sewn together. So usually like for instance, like my dress, right? It's woven, right? But it's using really, really small, like really tiny threads of yarn to construct it. Whereas like my pieces are using like thicker yarns to construct it.
So when you were in Nigeria, did you go and look at what their textiles and things were like, or just to compare them to here, or do you get your textiles shipped from Nigeria? Like, what do you?
So when I was in Nigeria, I mostly was there for family stuff. I was going for like for like a funeral, but
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It honestly, that it was very full circle even in that moment too. So I didn't really get a lot of time to go to the market. So that's going to be my next exploration when I go back this December, is to go to the market and see what's out there. But I was just looking at everyone in the village, because I went to the village because my parents have a home in the village and families in the village, and I was just looking at how everyone was wearing garments, like specifically garments that are like traditional garments, from like the Igbo chief caps, the red ones. I forgot what it's called. I forgot how to pronounce it, but it's if you're a fan of Odumodu Black, it's the similar like crochet hat he wears, but it's the chief cap version. So from stuff like that, I was looking at what like the way that the hats were knitted. I saw this. I really wish I would have asked this lady to take a picture, because she's from my mom's side of the family. She had this. If you saw this hat, it was so mind blowing that she was wearing this hat, and it was knitted, but it was knitted with like. It was like knitted with like I want to say like a straw hat, but it was malleable, and I was just like so mesmerized by it. It wasn't stiff.
Oh wow!
And it kind of had, it took this shape that was really interesting. It was almost like a cone shape, but it like, I don't know how to explain it. I really wish I would have took a photo, because it really like, that's what kickstarted a lot of the ideas in my mind. Because I was just like, this is phenomenal, And it was just like little things of just seeing what everyone was wearing is what kind of like inspired me a lot, and especially with textiles. And then coming home here, I do a lot of my my sourcing through like online shopping and going to like really niche yarn stores and stuff. But that's something I really do want to do in the near future, is to source a lot of that in Nigeria, because I see how they make the yarns, they spin the yarns. I think that's something I really actually want to get into, is having my own custom yarns, so that way I have an in-house way of like making pieces.
And that's a good way to like brand identify yourself.
Right, exactly.
So, I love that. I've seen you have hats, you have tops, you have pants. What are some other things, like how do you want to create the whole idol universe? Like, are there other jewelry or playlists? Like, are there other things that you want to bring into the orbit that you plan on bringing into
I
your
definitely
orbit?
do. So, one person I actually forgot to put in that list of like knitwear designers, Issa Boulder.
Oh yes.
Yeah, Issa Boulder's sick.
Sick. I'm always gagged.
Yeah.
And what gags me the most is that, let's say Essence is having a sale. It's so much Issa Boda on there. I'm just kind of like, why do y'all not get it?
Right. That's what I be saying.
It's so good.
And like the way I think Issa Boda is a woman, if I'm not mistaken, but how they,
I think so, but
yeah. How Issa makes knitwear is insane because Issa Boda also makes knit shoes. Have you seen it? You've seen the knit shoes, right?
Seen the like knee high.
Yeah. They even make like heels. So I actually want to explore the idea of making like a knitted shoe, which is is this exclusive? Isn't it
sounds like an exclusive.
So I actually want to collaborate with a specific person on doing that. So, but I definitely want to have a universe of like, I just want to be knit crazy to a degree with everything. Like, let's make knitted earrings, let's make knitted shoes, let's make like knitted jewelry, you know? So, yeah, definitely down the line, I want to go outside of just clothing to like make other things for sure. And honestly, I started off with making accessories before I started making clothes. Okay. So I kind of want to go back to my roots of like making hats and making bags and little intricate things like that too. Because another thing I'm also trying to figure out now is like, what's going to be my buy-in item? You know, because not everyone can like. Not to say that I'm not affordable.
You keep knocking my questions out because my next question. Sorry. No, you're fine. My next question was, what's going to be your what do they call it? It's leaving my brain, but it's like the item that your brand is known for. Like Telfar is known for the toe. What is
the buy-in item. That's what that is.
But it has another name too. It's gonna come to me. Yeah, at least when I expect
it. But it's the same thing as like a buy-in item. But I think it's gonna be a hat because that's where I started. So it's just I had to make. Well, actually, I have a hat in mind that everyone has been asking me about. If you ever saw Semi Moonlight, she wore a hat that I made. It's
the black and
white one.
Yeah,
I called it deep. Yeah, I called it Deep in It. So I think I'm gonna elevate Deep in It a little bit more, and then sell that and see if that does well. Because a lot of people really did like the hat. They're still asking me for the hat, and it's hot outside. It's a pretty warm hat, but I think that might be the buy-in product. Would be like that hat specifically. But I just had to explore it a bit more. But it's definitely something I want to do soon before I start going into production for my fall winter collection.
And speaking of collaborating, you don't have to say like any particular names, but when it comes to collaborating, like, are you open to like capsule collections, like different artists or things like that, or have you thought about that at all?
I think about it a lot because my biggest thing is before I even started like designing, or at least publicly showing that I design. I was just a TikToker. I just would talk about Black women on brand. So I really want to, I guess, yeah, I'm going to say it. I want to kind of pioneer more Black women working with each other. I really do think that we do a lot in this space. We make a lot of phenomenal things. Why not work with each other, you know?
Absolutely.
Like, because I've even pushed the envelope and saying, I would love to see Hanifa work with, who's someone I would think of that also, like maybe even I don't know. I feel like I would love to see Hanifa work with another Black woman-owned designer to make something phenomenal or something cool.
I mean, it only makes sense.
Yeah, or all of us just like figuring out a way to come together and make something, put on a show. Who knows? Like, you know, like there's no limit to what we can do. Right. So I think about it all the time. I definitely want to collaborate, and specifically with the women I already share space with. We're always talking about ways to collaborate with each other. Like if you see the photography for this Ntoala collection. The owner of the Ecuador label, she lent me jewelry and shoes to basically style the collection.
I love that.
Yeah. So the studio that I shot out is also owned by a Black woman too. So like I'm very like headstrong about supporting other Black women because I want to see more people that look like me. Exactly. I want to share space with people that look like me.
And it makes everything better anyway. Yeah. Like, because you could like go to any space and shoot a lookbook, but it's just kind of like that overhead sometimes makes you uncomfortable. But when it's like your community, your people, like it's limitless. Right. Like the energy is just flowing, and that's very important to do. What's the future that you envision for knitwear, and where does Idol fall in that vision? Like, where do you want knitwear to go now that it's like taking off?
Yeah, I really just want people to look beyond just a sweater because I think you hear knit, you think a sweater. So I really, not even just me, just anyone else that's in the space, I really want us to keep pushing the envelope of making knitwear just look crazy and cool. Like, I never thought that me making these pieces would have people looking like, damn, that's what crochet look like. I never thought that that's what it would be, but I just want to continue to keep pushing that envelope and being like, it's not just your granny's knit. And it's nothing with granny's knit. Granny's knit still eats.
They do.
Point blank period. Okay. Her knit still eats. But we can figure out ways to innovate. I love my biggest thing I also love is innovation. I'm big on like figure out ways to make things look different and cool. So I just hoping like even in the next year, like let's see who else is coming out with a knitwear brand and what they're doing too. So yeah.
Okay. Who are some notable figures that you want to see in Ido? Like if you could pick, I don't know, your top 5 people to wear Ido, who would that be?
In this Ntoala collection specifically, I need to see Tyla.
Okay.
And that skirt, Egu. So the skirt that I'm talking about that is in this collection is called Egu. It's a fringe. It's a brown fringe skirt, and everyone knows Tyla.
The short one. Yes. Oh yeah, she would eat in that.
Yeah, and it's a movable skirt, so I really want to see her in that. Ira Star, Thames. I love Thames. You said 5.
Thames will look good in. I don't think it's part of this collection, but it was one of the
green one,
the backlist. Or it's like
the black one, the black and white one.
It has like the stripes. Yes, black and white with the stripes.
No, I did have a striped one, but that was the top and the bottom. But you're talking about the black piece. And white. No, the black and white dress, right? It was long and it was backless. Yes, she would eat that. And that's something I thought about. I was thinking about spinning back that collection and possibly figure out ways to elevate it to probably make it into something else. But yeah, Thames for sure. Like I definitely need Thames in one of my pieces. I feel like I'm listening to all the African girls, but I don't know. I just feel like yeah. Who else? Oh, Megan Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
And JT. Oh, JT's actually number 1. JT, I'm so sorry, girl.
Let's talk about it.
I love you real bad.
I love her too.
That's my sad sister. I love her bad. They can never make me hate her.
That's my dream gig. Like that's my dream.
No, I really actually want you to like.
I want her so bad, so bad.
She's really like she's really pushing the envelope in ways that I'm just like, I need her in my piece.
Yeah,
and I know she would. I feel like if JT saw my pieces, she would absolutely love to wear anything I would wear. Yeah. So definitely that's my top 5. And of course they're all black women because who else would I want to see my pieces?
Exactly.
No shade.
Everybody else follows after it.
Yeah, exactly. No shade.
That's the tea. What stores do you see Ido in? Like if you could pick any stores, where would you see Ido? For
like
me,
a physical?
I could definitely see it in Selfridges. Like when I see a person, I think of Selfridges.
Yeah.
They would eat it up over there.
Yeah. I wish there was more like niche stores like Selfridges, Essence. I guess the Webster is one. I don't know. Did they have a store in New York?
Who, Essence?
No, Webster.
The
Webster.
Not that I know of.
Maybe it's only e-commerce. Nordstrom for sure. So I have a background with Nordstrom because I used to work at Nordstrom. It's actually my favorite retail job ever. I always tell people this, like Nordstrom is like my favorite retail ever. I don't know if it would be like a long-standing thing where like it's consistently in the store, but just to have it in there like a pop-up or something like that.
And they do that often too.
Yeah.
Like Ekbobly had a pop-up there.
Yeah, I would love to do like a pop-up at Nordstrom for sure. A pop-up or just like a limited time type of situation. Just to kind of like honor that moment in my life and just have that full circle moment.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I really want to see if there's gonna be more niche like retailers open up. I feel like brick and mortar is still in limbo these days. But I for sure want to see like Ido in a place where a lot of cool girls want to shop.
Are you familiar with Opening Ceremony when it was here?
Yes,
that was like my favorite store, and I miss it so much. But I could also.
I think they have a store in Atlanta.
They do.
Or no, I'm thinking of a different store. It starts with an E. It's another one of those like really cool niche stores. But they never opened a store up in they never opened a store in New York, but they do have a store in Atlanta. But it's a really cool like store. Like it's aesthetically pleasing. It's kind of like think of like if Essence actually had like a physical store in the US. That's what that store is. But I forgot what the name's called. It starts with an E, but yeah, something like that. But yeah, Open Ceremony for sure.
I miss them so bad. So bad. The Ntoala collection, what is your favorite piece?
Egu. So I'm saying it with an accent, but Egu is the fringe skirt that I referenced earlier. It was the most fun to make. And it was actually inspired by a commission that I was asked about. So a friend of mine had wanted to commission a fringe skirt as well for me. They sent me a reference photo. I was like, okay, how can I make this my own? So I figured out a way to make it my own. And I was like, I started looking at it and I was like, this would eat as a mini skirt. So the version I made for my friend was a longer version. It's like a maxi version with a high slit. So I was like, I feel like this would eat as a mini skirt. Like imagine like wearing some mini skirt, and I literally was in the mirror like. Cause me and her kind of have the same like measurements. So I was in the mirror, I was just like shaking. I was like, this would eat as a mini skirt. So then I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna make it the brown version. So I started making it, and then when I wore it, I was like, oh, this might be the one.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, I was shaking in it. I said, oh, this is perfect for the summertime.
Okay,
the girl's gonna eat this up.
Okay.
So yeah, egu first, and then it's kind of like between egu and then Ito is the golden mustard yellow dress that has a slit, and then you kind of have like that toga tie at the top. So that's another favorite of mine because like yellow is my favorite color, and I just love. One thing about me, you're always going to see a dress in anything I do, in any collection, because that's kind of where I started. It kind of goes back to my background at Nordstrom. When I was working at Nordstrom, I worked in dresses. So I became like an expertise of how to style them, how to make sure you have the right fit, how to measure yourself. And that kind of like really helped me understand how to make a dress.
Isn't it crazy how like, and you don't even think about it at the time, but it often like comes to my brain, like everything that you're doing is setting you up. Yeah, it's in alignment for what you're supposed to do. Like, what was I thinking about the other day? Oh, so I used to be a high school teacher, right?
Oh, period.
And the way I would have to like write lesson plans and shit. But now when I like create content and do research, like I have that mindset to like, this is how you do research. This is how you get your points across, like your main ideas and things like that. So like my content is much more like a lot of people say like your content is easy to digest. And I'm like, that's good because that's my intention. Because when I used to be a teacher, I used to have to like break things down to where high schoolers can like understand it and that can like grab their attention. So it's just interesting how things just keep you in alignment.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So for you know how some brands like Christopher John Rogers did the Target collab collection. Like if you had that opportunity, like who would you do a collab with? So like elevate Ido as a brand.
Who else does them besides Target?
Target does them. I've seen like some higher end ones doing.
I know Nordstrom has done it, but like it's more so like you just being the brand in the store in that way. But but I'm trying to think who else has done.
I think more people should. Now you ask me, I'm like, who else does it besides Target? I just thought it was like this common thing, but
yeah, definitely Target. Because I've always like my mom used to be like really into like buying whoever the latest designer was that was collaborating with Target. Like I remember when the Victoria Beckham one came out, that was crazy. That was a crazy
time. I forgot all about that.
That was
the
a
girls
good one.
Ate that up too.
They did. That was a really good one. And that one, I think that was before social media, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so I would definitely do Target just to kind of challenge myself in the sense of seeing like how would the everyday person wear Ido? Because Ido for me, I feel like Ido is for the cool, fun girl, you know? But how would I represent the everyday girl, you know, in that way? So I would definitely do a Target for sure.
I was looking at Janae's collection that she just dropped, Future Collective, and the little knitted, the braided sweater.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And I was like, also, y'all have some stuff in that warehouse that can be worked.
Right.
Yeah, let's bring it out.
Like, oh, when did Target start making this like this?
Yeah, like, I said, very gas.
No, see, I was like, oh, okay. I said, oh, y'all ate that.
Right, let's put that on the bucket list. I can definitely see that happening too, for sure. You said something about commissions. Are you open to commissions? Or
yes, I'm still taking commissions. Because commissions really also inspire me in that way too. When I see because I think for me, I really love. My biggest thing is collaboration. I love collaborating with people. I think that's why I'll always be open to collaborating with stylists, other designers, just anyone else who's in the creative space that wants to, you know, show up in that way. So even now, like I'm currently collaborating with an artist to like make a couple pieces for them. So
cute.
Yeah, and they also are like challenging themselves in the design realm by giving me designs to kind of like come to life. So so yeah, I think I'll always be really into like into collaborating with other people. So yeah.
I mean, you got a piece out of it from this collection, so I love how it just keeps having its full circle moment. I love that. We had a little conversation before the pod started, but I want to bring it into the episode. So you say that you're looking to like find manufacturers, but right now everything is hands-on. So how long, like if someone orders a piece from the new collection, what's like the turnaround usually?
So it just varies from piece to piece, but right now I've given myself the timeline because I just want to make it clear to everyone that there's only one person behind the brand.
One person.
So I'm doing everything. I'm doing the marketing, the social media, the making of the garment, the sourcing. I'm doing everything.
All of it.
So I feel like my timeline, I might have to even change it now that I think about it. Just I just want to see how people respond to it first.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, if you were to place an order, it will take you 2 to 6 weeks to make the item, process it, and ship it out. So,
which is standard. So don't be trying it.
Yeah. So please be patient with me. Please know that these garments are made with care. I'm very meticulous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty much a perfectionist. So I am very meticulous in making sure everything that leaves my hands and enters into your hands and on your body is made with care and love and craftsmanship, because those are things that I really honor this brand with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's sustainable too. Like, this is made to order. It's made to your measurement, your body. So this is something you should be investing in and something that you should want to wait for. Like, I know when I commission something or, just get something that's made to order, like, I'd be excited. Like, the adrenaline is like, because this is for me. Like, nobody else, they may have something similar, but it won't look the way it looks for me. Right. And it won't fit because it's my measurements. You have that
perfect fit. Yeah. Yeah. And another thing, too, that for me, that really makes me happy about how I'm even starting this brand is because this is how people in Nigeria make clothes. Like, you go to a tailor, you give them an idea, they put the garment, they have it ready for you in that same timeline of like a month, and then it's boom, it's your perfect fit. Nobody else has that exact garment but you. So I really love that I'm making pieces that really fit to you perfectly. And it's something I also thought about too, is that, okay, do I want to offer people the opportunity to give me their custom measurements so they have a perfect fit? But I do have a sizing chart for those to follow too, just so it makes it easier. But yeah, I really love the idea of having something that like is perfectly made for you. Like, it just makes you feel a lot more confident in wearing it. Yeah.
And this is a summer collection, so get your pieces now. We're on the 25th, which is tomorrow.
But technically it's tomorrow.
Yeah, so this episode will come out on Wednesday, and I don't know what Wednesday's date is. So the collection will be out a little bit, but again, this is made to order, so nothing's like going to be like sold out.
Yeah.
So where can people order pieces from?
So you can order pieces at ido-studios.co.
So that's IDO-studios, STUDIOS.com.
Co.
.co. Okay. Because this is a corporation. I have a .co too. Cute. Okay.
I feel like it's just a little more like, ooh, like, .com, it just feels like, oh, I had to buy something. But Co is like, ooh, what else you got going on over there? Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So now we're going to play like a this or that type of game. And just tell me the first thing that comes off the top of your head. Okay. Drake or Kendrick?
Kendrick.
Her. Okay. John Galliano or Marc Jacobs?
Ooh. Ooh. I'm going to say Marc Jacobs because I'm obsessed with his marketing right now. His social media marketing.
Okay. Marc is one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
But I recently went and saw the John Galliano documentary. Have you seen it?
Where?
They're showing it at one theater here in New York called Quad Cinema. And it's about his entire career. You should definitely go see it.
I definitely want to see it.
They said in the documentary how, because if you look at a lot of John Galliano's work, it's very like culture vulturous. Like, he will go somewhere, take out Think It's Beautiful, and then put it on the runway. You went to Nigeria, your home country, and you went and saw a lot of things that inspired you. So do you think as you do more collection, like, that's going to be like a mandatory thing? Like, I have to travel here, get inspired, see something different, and then...
No, I think for me, because I'm always I actively choose to learn something every day. So anything can really inspire me, but I just want to tie my culture to it in a very, my own personal way, because like, I am tying this brand to my culture, but I want people to know that like, this is how I perceive my culture. This is how I'm dabbling in my culture, and not how my parents say it. Not to say that my parents are dictating that. It's not how my parents say it. It's not how anyone who's in Nigeria is saying it. Not anyone who's Nigerian and living in America and saying it. It's how ODI says it.
Right.
It's how ODI wants to show and perceive it.
As it should be.
Yeah.
Loire or Telfar?
Oh. I'm going to say Telfar because I feel like I have loyalty to Telfar. But I love Loire, though. I love Loire. I can't wait to actually invest in Loire. But Telfar because like I feel like I have this long-standing interpersonal relationship with Telfar in the sense that like I've always like purchased a brand. I don't know. I hope Telfar remembers me. Because there was a time where he had Telfar TV, and I just happened to join it while I was bleaching my hair, and he literally picked me out. He was like, "Oh, I want to talk to her." He was like, "Oh, I love her." Like, so I really do thoroughly enjoy Telfar as a brand and him in general too.
Yeah, he's so sweet.
Telfar for me. Yeah, Telfar.
I love Loire too. The one thing about Luar though is that I will see something on the runway and I'll be like, where is it?
Right? Like, where can I get it? Like, yeah. I don't know if you've been seeing like JT, Tyler. Who else had that gray
with the
crop top with the
yes, like that should be everywhere right now. So
yeah, it's kind of like piece.
Yeah, even those shades.
Yeah,
the big shades. I'm like, where are they, Raul? We're waiting. Thai food or Chinese food?
Thai food.
Sang. What's your favorite Thai dish to order?
Red curry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I used to be a mastermind curry girl, which I still am sometimes, but I feel like nowadays I'm just like pad Thai is the same thing, depending on where you go. But their curries are really, really good. I
love a red curry.
New York or LA?
New York all the way.
Okay.
And that's shade.
Yeah.
That's shade.
Same. Because when I went to LA, I was just like, the people here are not genuine as I would like for them to be.
I've never been to LA. But like everyone says the same thing, so it's like, what's the point of me going?
Yeah.
You know?
It's just like I don't like when you meet people and you want to know what they do before you know who they are as a person. And I get a lot of that in LA.
That's literally what everybody says about LA. Is like you have to lead with your LinkedIn, your social media for people to want to interact with you. It's like y'all cannot be that hungry. Yeah. Sorry, like y'all cannot be that hungry.
And you get a little bit of that here in New York, but I do feel New York is a bit more.
There's a build up. There's also a build up to that, you know. Like, and it also makes sense for certain spaces. Like, if you're going to an event that's like a social event, like most people are gonna like get to that point, but it's never like rushed. Like, oh, what do you do? Yeah. What's your Instagram? What's your LinkedIn? Like, no, that's not how you talk to people. You know?
Yeah, and it's gotten to a point with me. Like, I used to, because I'm horrible at networking. Like, I'm getting better at it now because I'm in this space now. But it's that whole like the what do you do question. Like, I try to not to say it. It just makes me feel weird at this point. Like, I will ask it in another way, but it's just kind of like, who are you? Like, what's your vibe like? I prefer that over. Because everything else will come naturally after I figure out what your vibe is.
Right, so, exactly.
Yeah. Please let the folks know where they can find you.
Well, you can find me as Section ODI on all platforms. So that's TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. And then for my brand, it's IDO Studio, IDO _studios.co. So yeah.
And I'll put all of that information down below so you can have it all.
And that's the same for the website as well for the brand.
Yeah. Yes. And the collection drops on the 25th. So by the time you hear this, the collection will be out. Everything again is made to order.
Y'all.
So nothing's gonna be like selling out. Yeah. Let everybody know. Get you a piece. And again, Odie is one of the designers who I follow on my up and coming series. So whatever she's doing, I will be updating you about it. So I will be making a video about the collection so the girls can know about the collection coming out. And as we say at the end of every episode, be sure to leave here empty. If you have an idea, let it out. You cannot take it with you to the grave. Leave here empty. Thank you, Odie, for coming. This was great. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.